The nice thing about these letters is it kind of is a portal to being able to push that narrative through, and you have some proof of it. So in your translations, for example, have you found, what did you, maybe through the things you've looked at and you've experienced so far, have you found anything really interesting that you know, I'm assuming you do come across some things.
I think one thing that's interesting is it really shows the type of the way that the missionaries and a lot of the chiefs at the time needed to work together. They worked together, and through their letters we can see the ways that their correspondence and the way that they helped each other. And I think that both sides had things to share with each other that you know, were beneficial to both sides. And I think that one thing that is commonly believed is that the missionaries really came in and started barking orders and saying, this is how it's going to be, and this is, you know, you're going to do this and you're not going to do that, and this is how you need to be. But what we're really seeing is that there was a lot, it wasn't quite like that. You know, there were very few missionaries in comparison to how many Hawaiians there were at the time. And so the letters kind of really show us the way that the missionaries and the Hawaiians worked together, and how some of the things that the missionaries brought, for example, sewing and sewing, some business, trade, was attractive to the Hawaiians at the time. And you know, they really had to work together for a lot, you know.
And I think I think I hear what you're saying, and it's an important point to make and to remember is that you know, their mission was very different, that first generation of missionaries. Their mission or their reason to be here, and the assistance that they provided, the Alii, you know, goes without saying. And I guess these letters probably pretty much show that. You know, you can see the relationship, and you can see how they work together, and that they learned from each other. And I would assume that's so. I think you know, we're hard on the missionaries because of maybe the next generation of missionaries that this doesn't seem to cover since it ends in 1887. So, but I know from taking Kumujan Osorio's class, and we've learned, and that's what I mean about education, you know, where we learned what the mission's role was and their goal, and how over time it ended up being muddied, and you know, but that took a long time of living in the islands. And you know, when you come and live here, do you really want to go back to Boston? Probably not, right? So but I agree with that. I think we do many times kind of just brush over that earlier history, and we shouldn't make that mistake, because the fact that these letters show a relationship that you think is honorable, and that's how you see it, you know, we can respect that. But it doesn't mean that we whitewash the remainder of our history either. So, right. So, what? I'm sorry.
I wanted to mention too. I think literacy was it's almost like the new technology of the time, and that was something that was new. And see, when the missionaries came, there was already contact with the Western world for many years.
Correct.
You know, at the time, but this was the first time that literacy really began to take hold.
Right.
And the missionaries, when they came, they may have been the first group who came with an actual purpose. They came together as a group, and their purpose was to spread the gospel and the teachings of the Bible. Whereas others who had come before, sailors and merchants,
reparations, women.
You're right. So there were many other things that they were out there for. Right. But the missionaries who came with a united purpose, and that was they may have been the first foreign group that came with a united purpose, and literacy was a big part of that. Literacy was important to them because literacy was what was going to get the Hawaiians to understand the word of the Bible, and the written word became very attractive to the people, and there was a great desire to learn the written word, and you know, Hawaii became the most literate nation at one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if Hawaii was the most literate nation, then probably in the world, if you think about that, right? Not just in Americas, but I didn't mean reparations, I meant provisions, yeah.